Mewgenics is an exceptionally ambitious and clearly well-designed turn-based roguelite. And yet, after about 4 hours, I feel like I'm bouncing off of it. The polish is there, the content volume is there, the systems are obviously deep, but despite all of that, the game isn't motivating me to keep playing. And I don't feel like I have much real agency over my runs yet. I can absolutely see why people have put 100 plus hours into Mugenics. I'm just not sure why I personally would. On paper, the core idea is great. You breed cats with inherited traits and send 4 of them into a turn-based roguelike run. If they die, they're gone permanently. If they survive, they're retired as veterans, either to breed stronger cats or to be donated to townsfolk to unlock meta progression bonuses. That design idea is genuinely clever, and the depth is obvious almost immediately. You're constantly making decisions about which cats to keep as breeding stock, which ones to send out on runs, and which ones to sacrifice for long-term upgrades. Conceptually, it's a very strong foundation. Where things start to break down for me is agency, or the lack of it early on. At least in the first several hours, runs feel driven far more by RNG than by intentional planning. I don't feel like I'm building toward anything specific. I'm mostly reacting to whatever the game gives me. I keep waiting for the moment where the game shows me a combo or a direction I can meaningfully commit to, but instead it feels like I'm just vaguely working towards something without a clear payoff. To be clear, this isn't about difficulty. RNG on its own isn't a problem, but RNG without meaningful steering feels bad. I don't feel like I'm preparing for encounters so much as I'm hoping the dice eventually roll in my favor. The turn-based structure makes this friction worse. Once the training wheels come off, you'll start having runs where it's obvious by the second room that things are already going wrong. The problem is that, because the game is turn-based, you're forced to play those runs out anyway. Compared to faster roguelikes where failure is brisk and learning is immediate, failed runs in Mugenics feel frustrating because of the time investment. It doesn't feel punishing in a satisfying way. It feels punishing in a time cost way. I often finished failed runs feeling like I hadn't actually learned very much, just that I'd spent a lot of time confirming what I already knew. The tone of the game also makes it harder for me to stay invested. Mewgenics is intentionally wacky, and if you've played The Binding of Isaac, you already know what to expect from these guys. I'm not saying the writing is bad. It's clearly doing exactly what it wants to do. I just have a hard time connecting with it. Because of the tone and the randomness, the permadeath doesn't feel tragic or meaningful to me. Early on, cats feel interchangeable. Lineage doesn't emotionally land when everything is so disposable and the game actively encourages you to dump cats regularly to fuel meta progression. That's subjective, and I don't consider it a flaw, but for me, it means losses feel arbitrary instead of impactful. This leads to the bigger question: do I want to spend 100 hours doing this, and why? I understand where those hours come from, and I don't doubt that the systems open up significantly later. The issue is that the game hasn't given me a compelling personal reason to push through to get there. I tend to bounce off games that ask me to trust them before giving me agency, and I'm not convinced that the agency curve here ever quite reaches a place that works for me, regardless of overall depth. Mewgenics is clearly aimed at players who enjoy probabilistic systems, experimentation for its own sake, and chaotic discovery. It's probably not for players looking for intentional buildcraft, clear forward momentum, or early agency. This feels less like a bad game and more like a great game that I'm simply not the target audience for. To be clear, Mewgenics is not shallow or poorly made. It's a very well-crafted game aimed squarely at the audience that loved The Binding of Isaac. But liking the concept and respecting the design doesn't obligate me to grind it. I might come back to Mugenics later. I might not. Right now, it's just not scratching an itch. Sometimes the most honest reaction isn't love or hate. It's, I respect this, but I don't want to live in it. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more content.